would assume that I know how to play the melody at all. Or even know what the melody sounds like, dog. But I'm sure you can play Freebird on the piano. I gotta say, one day I will listen to Freebird. Just out of raw curiosity to figure out what the hype is in your mind. But I have no clue, bro. I've not a clue. Yes, sir. Welcome. How long will it take to Freebird is about? Yeah, I must say, don't respectively spam the chat about covers. But no, welcome, friends. As we are today, I'm feeling very inspired to kind of resume the dimension of what we've been doing the last couple of days, where, as we are, probably just gonna drink this cacao, do some piano improv, and then go and experiment our sound setup downstairs in our studio, do our sort of, I don't know, maybe prime our vocals, do our guitar sort of flow, and then take our setup and go prime our performance setup in the forests like we did yesterday. But then I feel what we're probably gonna do, because fortunately the weather, it's turned around. Apparently it was supposed to rain, but then I guess the weather switched for some reason. I was doing some breath work and I like checked the weather again. It's like, oh no, it's apparently gonna be dry and sunny today. So I I'm probably gonna go down to a park. There's a park called Town Center. It's a giant park that's just down the hill. It's like 5 minutes away. So I'm pretty hyped. I feel I'll probably explore that spot and kind of do the free form stuff. Yesterday by the Beatles. Yesterday's a nice song, but yeah, not a cover artist still. Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's a weird joke, Robo. Interesting. I think you can do better. I think you got better material. I'm a stickler though. I'm a stickler for comedy. I'm not a fan of like almost like one-liners or kind of corny stuff. I'm more of a fan of wit. That's just me, brother. You do you. Keep up the good work. All right, let's take ourselves down to the studio, I'd say. Hey, welcome, cats. What's good, dog? Whoa, did some phone parkour there. And I hope you friends, those watching, friends, acquaintances, strangers, are honoring your experience, letting yourself see through the programming, through the illusions that try to tell you that this reality is fixed, that things are one dimensional, or, you fail to maybe look into the deeper potential of how basically what metaphysical philosophy shows us and tells us. I hope you friends let yourself just see a deeper level of alignment in your reality, however that desires to present itself. That or don't. I don't know. Maybe it's not your time in this reality. Maybe it's not your lifetime to understand how to fully live your highest reality. I don't know. I can't answer that for you. All I can say is, we in fact have infinite capability to see beyond and understand the infinite nature of what we're capable of, but you have to feel it. It's not a thing you can just see and tell yourself, okay, I will create or become or etc. You have to actually feel it and then embody it and reflect it and project into all of your reality. And it's not a complex rocket science, it's just metaphysics 101. But I hope, you friends see the world with clarity, see yourself with clarity, and ultimately just see it with love and embody that. Operate from that truth of how infinite you are, how you have a choice to live in a beautiful reality that is a reflection of what you choose to become and see, ultimately. Yeah. I was gone for long. Hey, fair. What kind of hair do I have? Every time I've been here, it's been covered. That's fair. I got hair down to here, brother. I have long, it's like dirty brown, dirty blonde, long hair. I gotta actually get a haircut. I want to get like a shag haircut. But I've been putting it off for a while. But I want to get like a medium length shag kind of haircut. Like a punk rock or 80s rocker haircut. But I gotta find the right studio. It's very sacred, I think, to find a good place to do that. But for now, I just cover my hair because it's long. It's like down to my nipples. But yeah. So with that, we are en route. I think I've been experimenting with some percussive elements. Oh, that's breath work. Let's see. So here we are. Plug ourselves in. Yeah, the goal today and has been the last couple days is I'm really trying to find. I was talking about this briefly yesterday. I'm really trying to find the balanced dynamics of playing, with my Blackstar amp outdoors. I'm really just trying to find the balance of, mastering the gain and the audio and kind of just experimenting, playing around. So when I go into these outdoor settings, I can produce the best sound. That's not that one that's too overwhelming, but sounds very balanced. So that's been the quest this last couple days. But yeah. Yeah, get over. Not mean, but yes is yes. Move forward. Never take your love of that. Never take wow. 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 Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, yeah. Interesting. I don't know what to say about that, Restarin. That seems like that's a you problem. That seems like yeah, that seems like some unsolicited advice that is, it's a you projection about hair, I guess. But thank you for sharing, brother. Yeah, thank you for sharing, Ristian or Ristlan. Because yeah. I'm sure there's some wisdom in there, but it sounds a lot like you gotta see through your own sort of projections or misconceptions of what you're trying to say. Really just, yeah, see what else the story is in life. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit where it's a miscommunication because you're typing in a phone, which I granted I'll give you that, dog. Just wanted to say hi. Have a blessed day. Thank you, Lunar. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, 1 second. My minimalist app is trying to time out my phone. We got to switch it off. We'll be right back after these messages. Give me 1 second. Beautiful. All right, and we are back. Yes. Basically, I have an app on my phone called Minimalist app. No affiliation, no promotion material, but the idea is that it's a beautiful app that costs like $6 or something for a lifetime purchase, and it basically reverts your phone to a black, I would say, archetype mode, where you basically your phone no longer has like all these flashy apps and things, and it times you out every 15 minutes, and you have to retime in if you're just going on your phone. So it basically very organically detracts you from using your phone. I have to uninstall it when I go on live streams, but yeah, it just timed me out. Highly recommend. Extraordinary app. Honestly, very good for brain health. I found, a mixture of not going on social media and using this minimalist app, my brain health has been better than ever. And of course, weave in some cold plunges, weave in writing guitar music every day for hours and hours a day, and etc., and lots of love and etc., then your brain health is in a good place. But I gotta say, minimalist app. Yeah. Welcome, OPT. Hey, what's good, Lipstick Junkie? Lipstick Junkie. It's an interesting name. Holistic services with mushrooms. Yeah. Beautiful. Holistic services with mushrooms. Yeah. It's funny, I haven't used mushrooms in probably 3-4 months, really, which feels significant. It's like, I love mushrooms. I feel like I've used them for many, many, many years, like 15 years or so. And yeah, I really deeply resonate with the mushroom spirit. But that being said, it's beautiful just to be in pure sobriety, to exit. I consider using plant medicines and organic, plant medicines, I consider that still being in sobriety. Of course, stepping away from any given commercial compounds and just, psilocybin or psychedelics over here or there. I consider those medicines, but I feel like, being in a stance where I'm looking at my life like, wow, I'm really happy and feeling full and have healthy brain health and practices, that I don't even really feel inclined to regularly introduce psychedelics, but I still love them. And, it's very ritualistic. And that was in regards to the other guy saying he tried. Oh, I didn't read that. I see, Rizlan. I see. Well, thank you for sharing that sort of, that's very heartwarming then, Rizlan. I hope that resonates with them. I didn't see them talking about their unliving attempts. Oh, wow. Oh, I'm so sorry that I apologize to cats. This is kind of the nature of when I'm focusing more so on my music here, but I'm sorry to hear about your family friend and the attempt. Yeah. All I can say is, yeah, I hold space for that. I hear you, and that's valid, and definitely let yourself honor and process grief in this world. Kind of objectively, just a random, I guess, tangent is, yeah, I think it's important in this world to just let ourselves process, be received, receive healthy support, but ultimately realize it's okay to feel your emotions. It's bizarre we live in a world where it's normalized to kind of suppress your emotions, to want to escape from your emotions, to escape from your present reality. And I think the more you can just be present and validate and realize it's okay to not be okay, it's okay to have emotions that might elicit discomfort, and actually develop a life that honors your uncomfortable emotions, beautiful things can happen. But again, that's a complex rabbit hole. We're going to focus on the music, but that's just kind of like the essence of dimensions of shadow work and honoring discomfort. These are all fundamental practices that I think the deeper you go down these rabbit holes and you honor discomfort, you honor and see the role of uncomfortable emotions, you won't suppress them. You won't try to run away from them. You won't try to escape them ultimately. But obviously, we're human beings. We live in the 3D human reality, so I can definitely empathize. With that, let us welcome. Hello, how am I? I'm great. I'm doing great. Rested, alive right now. We're feeling enlivened. I have to get ready for work. Hey, thank you. Thank you, Lipstick. Subscribe, be back. Beautiful. Yeah, amazing. Feel free to watch the offline stream if you desire to. I don't know. Because I'm sure what we're planning to do is we're going to do some performance here or just play around, warm up our guitar flow. I don't know, probably go to the forest, try to test our remote roving guitar setup, and then take that to a park. And I don't know, just chill at a park, see what's going on in a park, probably play some music for strangers. And I don't know, that's the idea. We'll see how it goes. I kind of just improvise everything in these streams. Thank you, thank you. Yes, brother. Yes. Thank you for divine being as to you as well, OPT. Yes, there's such beautiful divinity in all of us, and it's beautiful to see that, to acknowledge that. I love sharing that exact. I love almost like there's a cornerstone of a healthy, beautiful relationship, romantically and otherwise, when you actually are able to hold space for acknowledging, like expressing, you appreciate the divine energy in someone, you really mean it. But yeah, I love to express that and share that with my partner. In response to another commenter, yeah, I was behind the curb. I missed the comments, but thank you for holding space for the other commentators. I gotta say, that's beautiful, man. Magic. I'm excited to go to the forest today. I'm just happy that it's not raining. It was supposed to rain today, as I kind of mentioned earlier, but now it's not. One second. How are you ancient? How old? Okay. Heck. Clickety click. Is there a crack? What? It's a violin bow. I think homie needs to get his eyes checked. I apologize for those that were here and then there. I had to help my mom put away groceries. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Had to help put away some groceries. So that was something that I had to sort of drop the stream for a second. But I think we can afford to do that. Sometimes it's just part of the streamer life. You gotta, I don't know, at least that's what I do. I like to just drop everything, exit the stream, and just be present for the real moment. If I'm like chilling on a park and I see a friend, or if I gotta like help, someone in the household, or like, have a conversation with somebody that's important. guess maybe in these instances, though, I should probably communicate. But like, hey, I'm gonna go put away these groceries, help my mom do this or whatever, or something. Just so you guys, you know, you don't waste your time just sitting there and being like, what's going on? Just, you guys can go enjoy your own time, you know, invest your time into something for those couple minutes or whatever happens. Instead of staring at a blank screen. But it's not a thing I frequently do. But that being said, it's good to be present in the real world as much as you can, you know. Let's see if we can change the light setup a little bit. Anyway, so we are probably just going to do some warm up our studio setup, you know, play around with some stuff here just because we have this beautiful studio setup. Maybe warm up our vocals a bit and then head to the forests and play around and see how our live roving setup, how it fares. That's kind of the idea. I feel like I gotta find a way to, I'm sure it's as simple as trying to purchase like a nice laptop where I could include an audio interface and plug that into my guitar setup, because I feel like, you know, I have my studio setup set up here. It's impossible to fully emulate the same sound setup. Oh, spam call. Play some heavy metal. I love the enthusiasm, brother. I have an Ibanez and I can shred and play metal, but that's not the energy today, brother. We're not gonna lean into that at this moment. That being said, for the first like 7 years of playing guitar, all I did was play rock and metal. Yo, don't spam the chat, brother. Alright, homie just is so, yo, you're devoted to spamming the chat. I hear you, brother. You can take 10 minutes to think about what you're doing. You've been promoted to an observer. Homie clearly needs to, you know, just take a moment to listen, to just listen. Practice and exercise some listening. Magic. Your duo, Lingo Streak. Huh. Grocery jokes fail. Number 355. Damn. I don't know what you're saying about that. Does ketchup stay warm or go inside the fridge? Honestly, bro, I would not have a clue. I haven't purchased ketchup in a long time. Yeah. I look like the one celebrity to play the Joker. Yes. Yes. I have been told I look like Heath Ledger. It's like a running joke that I embrace because I love Heath Ledger. You know, I loved his energy, his performance, his presence. Was really brilliant. You know, I really appreciate Heath Ledger. You know, rest in peace. Rest in peace, Heath. Whoa. Let's lower our bass a little bit. This is a 3D printed thumb pick. Yeah. It's 3D printed. Whoa. Anyway, welcome friends. Welcome, genius. Let's see. What I've been doing lately is naturally experimenting with my loop pedal here. So I think we're going to take a second and set up our loop pedal just to experiment with a couple things, because that's part of what we're going to do when we're going to go down to the forest and try to do some loops. You know, it's like I found I love looping, but I'm also personally more of a fan of just everything live all at once. For many reasons, actually. I think the dynamics are a lot crisper, you know, a lot more natural, actually, when you do the dynamics purely live, you know, not just in a loop. But there's pros, you know, pros and cons, I think, to looping. And obviously, one of the main pros is you have that beautiful ability to weave perfectly rare kind of rhythmic patterns, you know? You can just like do really easy and seamless rhythmic patterns. So let's give it a go. Testing, testing. I feel like though to master the audio, that's another story that I have to almost boost the audio on my guitar independently to make it fully balanced. That is cool, thank you. Yes, playing guitar for 2 months. Scrapper. Need some real expert help. Interesting. I mean, let me just save that loop. I kind of like that. It's very simple, very basic, but very silky. Yeah. Hey, I'm from New Zealand, mate. Yo, what's good, New Zealand? What is good, brother? Welcome and blessings from Canada. Yeah, bro. Let's see. Is that so that? Blah, blah. I don't know how to progress normally. Well, I mean, for one, to be perfectly honest, for one, congratulations, brother, for really like diving in. Like honestly, Scrapper, that's dope as fuck. That you have made the decision and actually picked up a guitar and got into that. Let's be real here. A lot of people, you know, do desire to pick up the guitar and dive in, and maybe they just get in their head or they get discouraged very quickly. So The fact that you've done it, you're 2 months in, that's pretty damn dope. I gotta say, that's really dope. But with that, 2 months is not a very long time. Like, let's be real here. I think if you're 2 months in, you gotta be really conscious that you have to be patient with yourself, with your hands, basically, your finger strength. You gotta be patient to develop calluses. I remember when I started guitar when I was like 9 years old or whatever. I remember vividly, being actually for the first like 2, 3 years physically in pain from trying to play chords and play consistently. I would didn't have calluses at all, and should not discourage you. Basically, acknowledge that the first little bit, the first maybe couple months even, you need to let your fingers develop strength and calluses naturally. You can never get over that part. You have to develop finger strength and calluses. And sure, and the way to help doing that is just play your guitar consistently. And how you do that is you basically want to do elements of guitar that are naturally attractive to you. So, maybe you're like, you know what, I like legatos. Like you love hammer ons, pull offs, sliding, if you want to engage in tapping, but typically doing legatos, they're called. Doing basic legatos is basically what I did for like 5 years or so. It's just like basic open chords, legatos, whatever you find. Like maybe it's like you love a certain musician, like I don't know, some sort of rock or hard rock or metal or punk rock artist, and you love what they do musically, and you just want to play, a few basic chords. And those aren't basic; those are bar chords. But whatever chords you want to do, just let yourself find what you're attracted to in the guitar, and whatever is consistently allowing you to pick it up. Just find what resonates with you. Because once you breach that gap, like once you have calluses, and you can confidently make the right tension, like you can press, that's going to make a world of a difference. So be patient with yourself when you start. Like really just acknowledge. You're going to be basically, it's like you're wearing training weights for the first like multiple months of playing the guitar because your fingers haven't developed calluses. Your fingers don't even know how to fully maintain, the strength and the dexterity. But that's okay. If you can just break through that point where you've developed calluses, everything becomes so much easier. Suddenly you can do any sort of pressing a lot more effectively because you have calluses. As a young guitar player, for me actually, it helped to play an electric guitar with a very sensitive action. That is, I had a Jackson, and I started with a Jackson. I had like a acoustic guitar for the first couple years when I was doing guitar lessons, but it helped a lot to have, play a electric guitar where the action was it was a lot lower. You could press and you could make better sounds, and it was a little easier, and you're playing with a pick, and so make it easy for yourself at first. Like, don't try to force any elements. Don't make it harder than it already is, because the guitar has a high learning curve. But let yourself physically adjust for this first like 2, 3, 5, 6 months or whatever it takes. Um, but beyond that, bro, there's a lot I could kind of unpackage. But I would say if you're 2 months in, 2 months is very new, but give yourself credit, bro. A lot of people don't even pick up. They're telling themselves, yes, I want to do the guitar, I want to pick it up, and they barely even engage in it. They get discouraged, which is understandable. It's got a high learning curve, or they don't have like a natural passion, or they don't even understand why they're truly connected to the guitar. So that's a huge part of it. Is like, let yourself um, realize that you're probably already, if you've done 2 months of guitar, you're ahead of the curve in some regard. Like you are. If you've picked up the guitar and you've played around with stuff, you've done something most people haven't even begun to do, which is great. But beyond that, if you want to actually take it further, let yourself physically develop your finger strength, your calluses. Realize it's going to take months, but once you do it, everything will become easier and more accessible. But in that time being time, just like learn whatever is attractive to you. Have fun with it. Have as much fun as humanly possible with it, because that's the whole point. Like whether you're playing guitar for a year, 2 months, 10 years, 15, 20 years, if you're not having fun, you're not really doing it right. Like you should always be having as much fun as humanly possible with the guitar. And if whatever you're doing is not fun,
find what is fun, find what is joyful and elicits joy in it, because that's kind of the point. It should feel fun, it should feel expressive, it should feel like, like a blast, really, in most cases. So that's what I would say. But reason for that. Start on plastic strings before steel strings. Yeah, that's a one way of doing it. I personally, I'll be perfectly honest here, that's helpful. But if I'm being more honest about the nature of most cases, most guitarists, at least in my opinion, again, I'm biased, I am a steel string guitar player. I can play flamenco. I'm actually inspired and influenced from classical, flamenco, jazz, Spanish style. Like, I take influence from all those styles. But I personally think actually it's best to actually start on a steel string. Now, maybe those steel strings are from an electric. That's what I did. Lower tension point, a little bit less, um, I'd say, challenging than a steel string electric. But the idea is if you're using a flamenco guitar string or guitar, if that's what you're really attracted to, that inspires you to pick up the guitar, then go for it. You got to develop finger strength, one way. But I'll be honest, the most important part is developing calluses. How do you develop calluses? You have to press your fingers into the steel strings. If you're using flamenco, you're probably not going to develop calluses very fast. And you really want to develop calluses. Like, it's important. So steel strings will help you develop calluses. Now, it's not about faster, like you got to force yourself and have your skin tear. No, like, part of what I find is interesting, my calluses are very natural and healthy. Like, my fingers are healthy. You won't even see that I have calluses. They don't crack. They're not dehydrated. My fingers are very healthy. Like, you look at them, I mean, I've had calluses for like 10, 15 years, but the idea is, I think personally, you should not develop calluses. If you have calluses that are like cracked and broken and uncomfortable and really like, yeah, just really like painful even, those aren't healthy calluses. But you should desire to press your fingers into the steel strings using the right amount of tension, not too much tension. Because if you're developing finger technique that's applying way too much tension, that's not the right technique. You need to find the sweet spot. That's kind of the important part, is like, you got to find the sweet spot. You're using just enough tension where it sounds great. You get a clean sound, but you're not over press, not applying too much tension. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. I could go off on about that for a while, but we're gonna be present here. The last thing, though, I will say is it's important to make sure your guitar is properly calibrated. In truth, seriously, recognize that you want to make sure you're using the correct string gauge, and you want to make sure that your guitar intonation is correct. This is an easy process. If you buy a guitar, take your guitar into a guitar tech, especially if it's new. If you haven't done so, or just like ask a friend, maybe look on some online videos. But the best thing to do is take it to a guitar tech at Lon McQuaid or something, and just bring it in. Be like, hey, how is my action on my guitar? Is my intonation correct? Is this the right gauge of strings for my guitar? Because that will make it a world easier. Trust me, there's nothing worse. I mean, I've done it before for many years, but there's nothing worse than using the wrong action and intonation in action for many, many years and developing technique off of that. And basically what that will be is you'll have to press harder at certain points. Like, say you're like, oh, I'm playing lower string tapping combos. You'll have to, like, really press harder and almost like in an imbalanced way to get the same sound. If you're trying to do tapping, it'll sound kind of buzzy and weird, like fret buzz might flow through. So, it's really helpful from the get-go to have proper intonation and action. And it's really easy. Like, if sometimes they'll do it for free, usually it takes they'll cost, charge you like $10, $20, and they take a little tool and they'll tighten the little screw inside to make sure you have the correct action. And maybe you might need to get a new set of strings that's the correct action for your guitar, but having the correct action really makes a difference, especially if you're talking about applying tension. You want to have a clean, even sound when you're trying to apply the tension. Because if you're just learning the technique wrong, like you're trying to teach your fingers to apply more tension or, apply more, unless you really want that in your guitar playing style, but in many cases, you want to have a nice balanced tension that's making it teach you the right way. But yeah, with that, I'd say good luck. I like that. Let's do the same thing, but in the key of E major, I'd say. Let's get the proper loop down here. Pretty balanced, I'd say. I like that loop as well. We'll save that. We'll save that for later. Very nice. A lot of chakra energies in shit. Sure, bro. Sure, bro. Yeah. Let's be real here. Spiritual, what you can perceive as spiritual is not probably what you perceive as spiritual. Like, let's be real here, B-Bob. If you're gonna, let's see, dogmatically compartmentalize what you're seeing. Most cases, if you think you see someone, you're like, whoa, they're so spiritual. They're so spiritually awakened. That's probably not a person that's necessarily spiritual. It's basically being spiritual in many rights. If I'm being perfectly transparent with you guys, and I'll die on this hill, as they might say. It's a paradox. It's a paradox. Most people that you're like, whoa, they're so spiritual. They're doing such spiritual stuff. there's a very great chance that spiritual ego you're seeing. That's the great chance that what they're saying or seeing, not all of them, some of these people are actually on a beautiful, beautiful spiritual path. But welcome to society. Welcome to 2026, where a lot of people are leading with the paradox of how they perceive what spirituality is. I really think, in my experience, most people that are on a genuine spiritual path are people that are breaking the molds. They're paradoxically just authentically showing up as themselves, and that is spiritual. They're embracing the duality. They're embracing the human experience. They're not trying to be like, whoa, look at me, I'm so spiritual guy. It's like, that's not the idea. It's like, to be spiritual, you got to embrace the human experience. All of the 3D polarity, all of it. All of the messiness, all the imperfections, that is the spiritual experience embraced. Because the human experience integrated and honored is the spiritual experience. So if you see someone that's like, whoa, they're a model of spirituality, they must be so happy and spiritual. Maybe, who knows? I don't know. You know, you never know what's beneath the surface. But I think it's a paradox. A lot of people, you might try to see, you're like, whoa, that person's doing so well. They're spiritually evolved. That's probably spiritual ego. Not always, but I'm saying is it's usually a paradox. In my experience, some of the most spiritual people are not people that you'd be like, whoa, that person is such a spiritual, quintessential person of whatever it means. So, yeah, food for thought. That's just my 2 cents. All I can say is, you know, keep an open mind. Don't judge a book by its cover. Platitudes, more platitudes. Just realize that a lot of people live in paradoxes. That's the point. A lot of people are paradoxically trying to, you know, embody something, identify something, and keep in mind that's not necessarily what things are. Only you can see with your actual lens what things are, and you have to be, you know, discerning. You got to see through the illusions. Anyways. But yes, sir, I'm playing music. You've got that one part correct. I'm playing music that, in my opinion, that's kind of the whole core essence of this channel. If you're new to this channel, is I truthfully have found myself really attracted to creating music, which, you know, once you create music for an extended period of time, at least in my experience, it does allow you to connect and channel something that is of the other. You know, it's basically the essence of what Terence McKenna literally underlines. Like, if you are familiar with Terence McKenna, brilliant individual, he's literally underlining in his talk about creativity the shamanic context and connection to the artist, to that goes deep in the creative expression, and how you're basically learning to communicate with the other, which is the same role that a shaman historically plays. So it's no coincidence that if a person goes down the creative path for an extended period of time, they have the capacity to connect and experience and communicate with the other. And if they authentically let that channel flow like water, it can offer you a divine insight or spiritual context. It's a natural part of how humans have evolved. We're meant to be creative beings. We're meant to channel and communicate with things that are outside of ourselves. And, you know, historically, in the tribes and our roles in societies, the artist literally supposed to play that role. But yeah. Food for thought, though. Food for thought. Yes, sir. Communicate with us. Yes. I see what you got. I see what you did there, brother. I don't know. These are beautiful things to think about. I'll be honest. Like, I hear you. I honor the desire to hear and experience this music, and I agree fully. I desire to direct my energy into creating this meditative musical experience. But that being said, I'm a musician, And hopefully, if you guys are on a path where you desire to be free thinkers as well, I imagine you are, if you're desiring to be a musician or go on that path and just hold space for that, you'll realize that everything I'm saying is connected to that. It's not me just randomly speaking to hear my own voice, so to speak. This is all deeply relevant to the music that I do, so it's context. And I hope it, at any rate, it gives you some permission to realize that you yourself are allowed to exercise that open context as well. It's beautiful. Your expression, your voice matters. The way that you desire to contextualize and philosophize and look deeper and think deeper and more openly about your creative expressions in your life. I highly invite that. That's the invitation that I'm trying to introduce. That's pretty much the essence of this whole channel. Anyway. Oh, whoa. But with that, I hope those experiencing this online or offline are letting themselves, express themselves, tap into creative energy, feeling into their somatic body, their nervous system experience, and really giving themselves permission to lean into that, Feel the felt experience that you desire to feel. Oh, mic stands will be the death of me. That is, they just knock over everything and they're never in the right place, it seems. But that's okay. Thank you. Thank you, Za Rumpel. So let's get. say that again? Hey, thank you. Dime, what's this? Very nice. Thank you, New Reality. A mix of Heath Ledger and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Huh. I guess I do have the Joseph Gordon-Levitt something's facial structure. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Interesting, 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 interesting. Beautiful. I'm liking this loop structure so far. I think that's beautiful. I think we like what we have here. With that, I think we're now going to go to the forest. We're going to take our amplifier, kind of do what we did yesterday, where, I feel I love having the studio set up. I love, having this full studio sound. But there's something so magical about just immersing into the outside world. Just being present, seeing the energy that flows through, and of course bring that to the stream where it's like, if I'm going to go into the forest, we can make music to the sound of the birds and the owls and the river, and I don't know, go wherever we feel intuitively want to go. And I think that's, I don't know, it's something that I feel really passionate about as a YouTuber, streamer guy, or whatever. Is I like to kind of, remind people, invite people, if you're a creator or a YouTuber, that this is something you can do. This is something you should desire to do. Is you're not confined, quintessentially, especially as an artist, to just sit in your room and make content or, do a stream. If you have that capacity, which I feel most do, you just kind of give yourself permission to, you can just go. You can go. Push yourself out of your comfort zone and enter the outside world. And this is increasingly important if you're a busker, like myself, where you really got to just push yourself out of your comfort zone and show up in a public sphere. It's not about playing the best song in the world, or it's not about making all the money that you'd desire to make, or doing the perfect performance. No, it's literally just about going. You just go. You just enter the portal that is the outside world, experience human beings in the real world, and be received. That itself is extraordinarily valuable. So anyways, let's do that. And I'm very, excited and fortunate to develop this beautiful outdoor setup. There was a Sami, Scandinavian native musician. Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing, Za. I love that dog. That or Mr. Yeah, Scandinavian. That's dope as fuck. I'm Ukrainian and English, but of course Scandinavian is deep in my heritage. So I really like the culture. The bandana I rock is Scandinavian, it's like ancient Viking symbolism. For whatever reason, it really, really resonates. I'm like, you know what? I'm not extraordinarily familiar with my cultural heritage, but I really resonate with Scandinavian culture. Player for more than 50 years, love the expression via audible vehicle known as guitar. Beautiful. Thank you, brother. Thank you for the kind words, dog. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Let me get myself equipped. so funny always just seeing myself on my computer in another screen. It's like, what the? Okay. So as we are, our setup is pretty interesting, I must say. Well, it's becoming like, a mix of like, of course, our Blackstar Fly amp, and we just load up our bag with everything we need and kind of have it all on the go. It's quite organized. It's well organized, and it's good to have that kind of feature where everything's just kind of exactly where you need it. It's one of those things I think, as a musician, it's extremely important to basically just be organized. It's like, there's just something so, brilliant about being able to just like organize yourself. I think it just happens obviously naturally in time where you just gotta organize all your cables and all your setup. Just find the perfect way to basically just lug around your stuff where it's like, yeah, it's lightweight, it's all beautifully organized and all set exactly as you might need. Goes a long way, I find. That's kind of what I do here is I have my majority of my portable setup all chilling in this mini bag here. And this is the mini bag that I carry around. And what I've been doing is I lock up my guitar bag. I like take a bike lock it up, and then my amp or my mini bag with all my amps and stuff just goes right in the little pocket here. It's very convenient, very practical. Makes it so I can just quickly do what I need to do and get around, and everything's all neatly packed away. Sweet. Okay. It's crazy though. Just yesterday, I discovered I forgot about this book that I purchased the other week actually. Beautiful Osho book. If you guys are familiar with this channel, I talk about Osho a lot, and I really appreciate Osho's teachings for many good reasons. But innately, yeah, this is a book. One of his best books, Osho, Love, Freedom, and Aloneness, the Koan of Relationships. I actually forgot, I thought I lost the book. Fortunately, I did not, but yeah. And it's funny because I actually placed it inside my guitar bag in the little sleeve where you sort of like store the rain cover. It's like a little back sleeve that I completely forgot about. So I'm super stoked that I have that book once again. Yeah, very, very happy to have it. That's been something that I think has been a powerful, prevalent theme in my life lately is I've been really just finding some extraordinary literature, all innately relating to relationships. Talking about the dynamics of relationships, all these different parts about like models of love, models of honoring sort of your sacred presence, and all these different things, which makes perfect sense because, as I find myself navigate my own intimate relationship that I'm extraordinarily blessed and grateful to have, I notice myself very naturally desiring so deeply to be a student of relationships, and it's unpackaged. I mean, I always love just exploring social dynamics and, relationships with the opposite sex and etc. But it's one of those things that, in all truth, has been somewhat of a breakthrough for me to explore and understand basically the dynamics of, the ethics of relationships.
You know, it's like the social structures and the sociology of relationships alongside the philosophical dimensions of love. You know, what does it mean to love, to have models of healthy love, and how does it embody itself? And it goes very deep, but yeah, food for thought. All right, I think we're all perfectly equipped here. One second, friends. All right, beautiful. Have some of our favorite ritual incense here. This one's known as Tashi. There's actually another one that I burn called Lumbini. They're these beautiful ritual incense from Nepal. Bro, we don't follow Osha. Yes, that's pretty common, dog. Not a lot understand or have read or understand the teachings of Osho, but if you read some of his literature, you'll maybe begin to understand why many people appreciate, his perspective. And it's not a perspective that's completely rare and unique to just Osho, in all truth. Osho basically is just underlining a lot of the beautiful teachings of, I would say, ancient Eastern philosophies and ancient tantric meditation practices, and sharing it from his modern lens, of a man that literally has devoted many years practicing these practices and unpackaging it in a sort of philosophical context. It's not foreign stuff. These are things that I think historically many philosophers have pointed towards, and Osho just does a beautiful job. And now more than ever in this modern times, to sort of understand how we can step outside of our own limiting cultural models, relating to love, relating to trust, relating to all these different models of how we perceive things. But yeah, food for thought. If you know, you know. So this is Sami. Yeah. I think Osho, if you have any awareness of read his literature, but Osho speaks very openly. He likes to be a controversial, I would say, a mirror, a reflection. He very successfully plays that role. It's evident in everything he does. Osho's not there to kind of I would say, almost offer a neutralistic lens, or be like, oh, but this is what societally has, I'd say, conventionally
painted, and let's align with that. Osho purposely is trying to speak about things that's making us challenge a lot of these models in a healthy way. So, say Osho doesn't talk about relationships kind of just reveals that I don't think you've read or even understand the basis of what Osho's even talking about. Not saying everything he says or embodies is perfect. He's very controversial. Some of his stuff I would disagree with. Some of his actions and the way that maybe he's made choices, 100% I would disagree with profusely. But if you really read his work and connect the dots and apply it, you'll understand that he makes a lot of strong points. When he talks about how in the simplest way I could summarize this is a lot of how culture and society has tried to program us to experience relationships and extending to love and extending to connecting and relating to another. It's broken. It's misconcepted. It's been misconstrued. It's been lost in translation. It doesn't actually address the core essence of what it means to unconditionally love, and actually receive each other in a healthy context. And a lot of it is just an invitation. If you read a lot of Osho's work, and trust me, I've had the same perspective. It takes many years of reading his stuff and unpackaging it. It's not meant to be taken at face value. Like you read it once, like, oh yes, I understand it, and now I'll live my life differently. It's meant to be a reference point to apply in your own life and begin to challenge your own, I'd say, constructs. Like be like, oh, is this model of love or model of relationship or how you're perceiving this culturally programmed system of how you experience your own relationships and love the people in your life, is this actually serving you? Is it even healthy? And in many rights, I would say confidently that's no. A lot of people are living out this kind of culturally, societally programmed model of how they experience love, of how they relate and develop relationships that is profoundly broken. It's fractured. And we don't have to actually look very far. Like I won't get very insanely, I'd say, sociologically rooted or philosophical about it, but you look around, a lot of people have not a clue what it means to have a healthy relationship, how to even develop one, how to hold space for it, how to actually even begin to build the foundation for a nourished, healthy, emotionally regulated, philosophically regulated, autonomous relationship. They just don't. Like the modern person, I don't know what generation you guys are in. I'm 31, and if you look at the state of a lot of modern relationships, a lot of people are grossly disconnected from the core essence of what it means to be an individual, of what it means to love oneself and love other people, and it stems into how they receive other human beings in romantic relationships. And it's unfortunate. I think it's a call to action for people to radically step outside of the models of how a lot of people operate and try to actually ask themselves honestly what it is they desire to actually create. But anyway, a lot of just words and platitudes and philosophies. But if you understood and saw what I'm talking about, it might resonate. And you got to do it by seeing these things. You got to go out there and push yourself out of your comfort zone and experience human beings and all their beautiful, I would say, their beautiful rawness, their beautiful imperfections, and kind of come to conclusions about maybe how there's more to these things than we've been culturally programmed to see. Like that's the essence of what I'm just trying to underline is you think you know what love is, you think you know what trust is, you think you know, or maybe you do, I don't know the person watching this, but you think you understand models of respect or models of, I don't know, aloneness and solitude or all these things. You really think you fully do? Or is there a truer part of understanding that you need to acknowledge how little we actually know, to actually split these models open and be open to receive them for what they really are? Anyways, food for thought. What's the actual optimum holistic love? The actual optimum holistic love for you. Well, brother, I mean, I think if I'm hearing you correctly, what you mean is like an optimal, like a healthy, secure, regulated, I'd say holistic, meaning like, yeah, a healthy love. I think a healthy love, if we're talking about in the context of romantic partnership, is one that is aligned, you know, with every core of what you desire to bring into this world. It's almost like you're not compromising this concept of love, but it is also one that is a healthy mirror that is safe. Like, let's be real here. It's like, it's a healthy space where you should feel safe to be vulnerable, to be imperfect, and basically just be real. It's like, I think a healthy, holistic, optimal love is basically you have to have a space that acknowledges that you can show up as your authentic self, whatever that is, even if it's, you know, embracing your imperfections and showing up imperfectly. It's like you should basically have a mirror or partner that actually desires to experience your authentic expression of self. And what that looks like, let's be real here, is like, that is often something that is woven within various domains of healthy, I'd say, growth. You know, the basis of what you need to, I feel is really important to sit with is a relationship is literally meant to awaken growth. It's meant to heal. It's meant to help you integrate. It's meant to be a healthy mirror that you can hold space for, that helps you grow, heal, and integrate, right? That's what it should be. And it should not be something you compromise. You're like, let's just compromise XYZ values and standards. I mean, we all are imperfect. We have free will to navigate this world as we desire. But I think the core reason why we get in relationships is to heal and grow with another human being, to share love, to share authenticity, and to celebrate and receive each other. If that is not present, you need to love yourself enough to exit that relationship or just not enter a relationship in the first place until you know, nurture those values and understand what you actually want in a relationship. That's what I would say. And all that applies tenfold when you're talking about, you know, navigating love relating to everything else. But I don't know. That's just my 2 cents, brother. I'm a student of these things, but I really think, if I'm also being perfectly transparent, in the world of 2026, kind of what I was saying a moment ago, is I think that dating, that is navigating the social dynamics of, you know, romance and etc., is an art form. It's an art form. You don't just wake up one day and pick up a guitar and after a day you're a masterful guitar player. No, it's something that you have to learn. You have to go through the process of learning and understanding how to do it. And yeah, it's like dating is probably one of the most beautiful but intricate social dynamics that exist. And I think it's important to always just be a student, be curious, be open. You know, it's like, it's the same right of, I think in many rights, you navigate a social dynamic, and it's always important to be curious and want to learn, you know, be like, how can I be open to learn about yourself and what things arise, whether you go to, you know, a beach or go to a show or a park, and, you know, you observe human beings in their essence. I think human beings are inherently beautiful, extraordinary human beings, but if we're getting kind of philosophical, everything and everyone you see is a reflection of what you yourself are showing up as. You know, it's like, it's almost like there's infinite expressions and experiences of all these different human beings that are just mirrors of how we ourselves are showing up. Anyways, with that, just going to take a moment to kind of just breathe, enjoy this forest energy, do a quick cold plunge. And then likely it looks like this forest area, I was here yesterday, you know, up in the fields in Westwood, and I feel like there's no people here. So we might just test our setup, hear out the dynamics and the acoustics, and then maybe just head to the park and kind of do what our quest is requesting of us. And you know, to kind of just summarize, in the essence of all those things I was talking about, this is all very poetic and philosophical, interpretive. But the essence of it, I'll be perfectly honest, if we want to talk about how to navigate, and at least in my experience, how I navigate often, you know, navigating social dynamics and navigating social dynamics relating to the opposite sex is, in truth, you just got to love yourself. And for me, how I often emanate self-love and confidence and etc. is actually through dance. Like this is a strange kind of tangent, but in all honesty, for me, dance is like the portal. It's the bridging of worlds. I've established many powerful, healthy relationships, romantic relationships, friendships, just lifelong bonds through dance, through the dance community, through connecting with dance, my body. You know, I'm a guitarist, a musician, but I'm also a tutter. You know, I'm a deep lover and advocate of dance, of movements, of the dance community. And weirdly enough, if I'm just making this very clear cut and simple, dance, much like training your body, you know, physical strength training or doing a cold plunge, these are all somatic practices. When you dance, it's similar to Qigong. You're letting yourself basically reprogram your body, you know, your somatic body, your nervous system. You're letting yourself basically imbue safety, love, whatever you intend to infuse in it. Literally, dances genuinely do this. You go in a room full of people and you get to basically calibrate your nervous system in relation to all these other humans, that you are safe. You get to imbue that you feel, you know, calm, collected. You're activating the parasympathetic nervous system. That is life-changing. Like, I will be perfectly honest here. When you learn to dance and honor your body, it doesn't have to be, you know, what I typically do, like going to raves or events or ecstatic dances. But I'm just saying, in my experience, I have healed so much in my somatic experience by honoring the portal that is dance. Meeting men and women, particularly most last few romantic partners I've had, exception being the most recent one, has been strictly through dancing. I meet these people, these women, non-verbally. I connect with them in a way that is way beyond the words, because long story short, your nervous system and your body says a lot more than your words do. Especially when we're talking about navigating in romantic partnerships or just platonically, right? Your body is how you're primarily communicating. Truly, like if your body is open, it's feeling free, it's feeling safe, it's emitting safety, it's emitting openness, it's emitting, I don't know, all these different things. That is what people are receiving. You may think that people are looking at how you dress or how your voice sounds, maybe a little bit. The primary thing people are actually receptive to is your body language. It's what your body's saying. You know, it's what if you're dancing, you're feeling free and open. That is like an exquisite nonverbal conversation that often the opposite sex, because women are very fluent in dance. They honor it. They spend so much time connecting with their bodies via dance. And you as a man, as a human, you have that very same ability. You know, I've done this for so many years. It's a huge part of my life. So all these little things aside, all I can simply say is dance is a portal. And if you can connect with your body and heal your somatic body, dance is one of the many ways to do it, then you emit in your body, your somatic body literally emits energetically, but also in your nervous system, that it's safe, that it's calm, that it's collected. Basically, your nervous system is saying more about you than your words ever could. And that is how often the opposite sex is perceiving you. And of course, the same sex, like everyone. Just people like to feel a nervous system that is calibrated, that is aligned. This is often what people are responding to, in the real world. Your words matter. It's beautiful to have a grasp of the English language. Its linguistics are extraordinary, but your nervous system is a very powerful and very potent way of communicating with the world around you. And whether you're conscious of it or not, your nervous system is saying many things and people are responding to it. Anyways, food for thought. I'm going to do this cold plunge here. What is this flute instrument called? This is a pan flute. Yes. Yes. Yeah, well, that is a thing, friend. I've been dancing for many, many years. I'm pretty good at it, I'd say. Like, I teach it and I talk about it a lot, but you don't have to be good at dance to honor it. It's more of like, this is the thing is fundamentally, a lot of you might hear people saying, push yourself out of your comfort zone, embrace discomfort. Embrace discomfort. Maybe it's a cold plunge, maybe it's arduous strength training. It can be and it should be. But let's be real here. What is more uncomfortable for most people, for myself included for many years, is pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. How do you do that? If you're in a social structure, like a social dynamic, and you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to dance, to enjoy your expression, to, just dance, even though if you feel uncomfortable, and just expressing that anyways, that is a profound way of successfully pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And then in time, it becomes your comfort zone. Pushing yourself out of your comfort zone actually becomes your comfort zone. That's a whole other thing. But anyways, with that, we are going to quickly do a cold plunge. We're going to go ahead and plunge into these rivers. Wow, it's getting so beautiful out right now. Like the sun is finally shining through. So beautiful. Well, that's the thing. I'll read that comment in a second, but yeah, brothers and sisters, I feel the idea is, healing your body with music is another way to tap into the nervous system. Like, truly, that's the actuality is healing your nervous system is something that you can do. That is tapping into your somatic body, toning yourself or tuning yourself is 1000% something you can, 1000% something you can access pretty easily, whether it's with your breath or with vibrations. I'm myself, I'm a sound healer, and I spend a lot of time just playing guitar and playing with music. And yeah, but the basis of what I love to do in this channel, of course, is write music and play music and really just introduce a frequency, introduce a resonance pattern that often goes in many directions of what I love to do. But that's the core idea: is we tune ourselves in so many different ways, whether it's the words we say, the frequencies that we engage in, the thoughts we think, maybe it's music that we produce or create, or it's all these different ways, right? And that's the idea, is like there's so many ways to tap into, I'd say, attuning your somatic body. Sound journeys, sound healing is one way. Breath work is another way. Cold plunges, strength training, circulating energy in many different ways. There's just so many ways. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just, as a guy that spends a lot of time really just honoring my somatic body, really attuning myself and spending a lot of time engaging in disciplines that work on the somatic body. Personally, it really is life-changing stuff. Like, if you can really begin to regularly integrate practices and disciplines that nourishes your nervous system, that honors your body and introduces healthy dopamine, your perspectives change, your desires change, your way that you perceive and experience the world and stress changes completely. And yeah. Yeah, let's just do that. Beautiful. Yes, self-discovering. Yes. I mean, really, in essence, it's just nourishing yourself and learning to see from a lens that sees the value. Like, this is kind of the same way I like to underline why I love cold plunges, and same reason I love breath work and strength training, etc. is I really feel that things like cold plunges, they expose your nervous system and your dopaminergic system to a different reality. You're experiencing a regulated nervous system, a surplus of healthy dopamine. And just being, perfectly transparent, when you experience a different dopaminergic reality, like you feel it, you plunge into a cold plunge, or you do a lengthy strength training session, or whatever it is you choose to do, you don't see the world the same way. Like, you go home and you look at your you know, maybe your phone or your computer or whatever it is, maybe if you play video games or whatever your vice is, you'll realize that you can begin to perceive the world from a lens that is not attracted to unhealthy dopamine. And honestly, a lot of us were deeply woven, myself included, for many, many years. And I still sometimes, you know, have to unpackage the programming. Is most of us, we struggle with being addicted to unhealthy dopamine. It manifests in so many ways. And you know, in the simplest right, we as human beings we've evolved. You know, dopamine is like this evolutionary currency that is trying to guide us. You know, it's the anticipatory response to guide us towards something. As primal beings, it was there to help us survive and guide us towards, you know, to healthy tribe and to take action and ultimately survive. But this system has been hijacked, it's been changed, it's been manipulated for every definition of the word. And it's important to separate ourselves from that, to see through the way our systems have been hijacked and return to a state that is autonomous, that is honoring these primal systems and seeing through the programming. You know, it's like on the deepest level. Magic. Beautifully said. Divine aware emptiness. Yeah. Emptiness. It runs deep. You know, part of where I've been at lately, as I kind of said at the start of the stream, is I've been very attracted to basically taking long breaks from social media, which is kind of a funny paradox. I mean, I am a YouTuber and I do spend time hopping on live streams, you know, most days and working on content and thinking about content ideas, but I've basically given myself full permission to stop using all the classic social medias. That is, you know, get Facebook, Instagram, and that's basically all I use, really. I just deactivate them, don't use them for successions of like 3, 4, 5, 6 days, and turn my phone onto minimalist mode, which is like an app where I basically don't use my phone for most of the day and I don't use social media. And the experience of that has been really just return to a state of being peace with less in such a deep way. You know, it's creating, like if I'm going to use my phone, it's with deep intention. You know, it's like I'm going on to, I don't know, work on content stuff where I'm teaching guitar, or I don't know, conceptualizing and reflecting and psychoanalyzing models of social dynamics and relationships in my life. But it's just switching that switch of being like, I want to turn inwards and embrace emptiness in the realest sense. You know, emptiness being my own presence within breathwork, or just really cutting ties successfully with the pattern that is my phone and social media. And it's easier said than done. Like, truthfully, I'll be honest, I struggle with these things in bouts for, you know, extended periods of time, as we all will. But I think the more I center in why this is so vital, that is why it is so vital to set extremely firm and healthy boundaries with your phone and with social media, which in many rights for me, it's all unique to us all. But for me, it's basically, I don't know, just nothing. Like I want to just cut my ties fully with social media, use it maybe once a week to hop on Facebook Market and look at some instruments, say hello to a friend. But beyond that, I think social media is something that we should put a firm, healthy boundary on indefinitely, and our phones as well. Like if we can utilize something like a minimalist app, the one that I've been using, that literally just detracts and cuts through the programming of your mind wanting to just mindlessly scroll through your phone, or just go through your phone. You don't even know why you are. These are things that I think can really just change your brain health very powerfully. Food for thought, though. Yes. Going through a shocking identity flip. Spirit comes alive, fully embodied. We are each localized aperture with form. Interesting. I like that. I like the wording of this. Yeah. Shocking identity flip. Well, that sounds healthy, brother. That sounds healthy. I mean, I think if there's anything that's extremely important to process is, for one, being at peace with not trying to identify with, the projections of what we think we might need to be, and just being at peace with who you really are, who you really desire to just show up as. And I don't know, it's almost like you're allowed to embody whatever expression of yourself you desire to, and whatever just makes you feel happy, bro. Like, honestly, I don't know, some days, for me, I just love rocking out and throwing kicks and shredding and just belting out punk rock lyrics. Some days I just love sitting in the forest and doing nothing, saying nothing, and just philosophizing. And I don't know, it's like we're allowed to have a multi-dimensional sense of self, and I don't think we need to identify with any given which avenue and act like one is better than the other, or other people's projections or emanations of who we are in their mind have any weight on who we actually are. Like, you yourself, basically what I'm saying is, like, and this is a core thing I like to explore and tell myself, is you are the raw core essence, the raw mote of consciousness behind everything. In your best days, your worst days, we all have that sort of raw essence that really is who we are, and I think we can see it as, maybe it's like in lucid dreaming books, they call it the clear light mind, or, in spiritual context, they call it many things, but I think it's almost important to realize that there is an essence of who we are at the heart, the core, that's like really, it's just really formless. It's like, it's, even if you're like, having the worst day and you feel like you identify with a distorted expression of who you are, a lower vibrational piece of it, you should just like realize that that's not necessarily who you are. A negative belief, or a day that spirals into something that doesn't have to be who you identify with, or it doesn't really, reflect the deeper expression of who you are. Okay. All right, I'm going to quickly grab something, and then I think we're going to hop on a box. This is kind of a weird, very, what's the word? Unstructured, stretched out live stream, but that's kind of the breaks. Let's see, how much battery power? We got 55%. Interesting. We'll definitely have to bring a charger. At some point, we'll probably have to charge our phone. Yes. but the emptiness. Very visual. Huh. All right. Gust of wind just slams the door. Let's see. So that. Father's Day this weekend. Yes, sir. Yes. I was basically just talking about the idea of how we, really the essence of it. Like, if we try to identify, I don't know, this is something I honestly made sense of for many years. Of course, still makes sense of it to some degree. Is that we don't have to identify with one particular dimension of who we are. Whether it's like a version of ourselves that's struggling, or maybe we're having the worst day and we desire to really just see that there's a raw part of ourself, and a mote, if you will, like a mote, a raw mode of consciousness that really is who you are beneath it all. But I don't know, in a deeper sense, I personally feel it is, as an artist, as a person, and this has been a really important part of my own journey personally, is you don't need to identify as one emanation of yourself or one expression of yourself. Whether you're a guitarist or an athlete or a martial artist. Basically, I think it's important to acknowledge that you can wake up at any moment, any part of your day, and just become a new expression of yourself. Like, you're allowed to basically wake up one day, but you know what? I want to awaken this new embodiment of myself. Like, you wake up one day, you know what? I want to become a guitarist. Or you wake up one day, you know what? I want to become an athlete. Or you want to become a basketball player or something. You're allowed to let your personality and your expression of self evolve. You don't need to be this one-dimensional identification of yourself just because you've been maybe an engineer or a musician or, some sort of thing your entire life. You're allowed to discover and awaken new facets of who you are. And this is very important because for a guy like me, I'm a strange kind of chameleon, you might say. That's at least what my partners in the past have called me that. I'm like a creative chameleon. Where it's like, I'm a guitarist and have been since I was like 9 years old. But I also, at some point in my life, I was like, you know what? I want to be a dancer. I want to be a tutter. I got into the dance scene, and then I started training martial arts for many years. I'm like, I want to pursue martial arts and athletic pursuits and acrobatics and tricking and acting and all these things where I just kind of like didn't want to just identify with one thing. And I think for many years, I really struggled with accepting that. I really struggled with being, wait a second, but I've spent like 10 years being a guitarist, or I've been 10 years being a martial artist, but I have to let go of this. I have to let go of trying to identify and validate myself with this one sort of one-dimensional conception of who I am. Because as with all of you, you're not just what you identify with or what you validate yourself with. You're not just that. You can be whatever you want to be. You can be many different facets and identifications and characteristics of who you are, and you should. Personally, I think you can be as many as you want. You can do live your life for 20 years and rock and honor and embody some sort of beautiful expression of yourself, and wake up one day, but you know what, the next chapter of my life, you can go do whatever you want. But yeah. So I think finding a new identity of self is can be extraordinary, and often is an extraordinary new chapter, brother. Wow, that's awesome, bro. It's very interesting, Mike. Yeah. I don't know if there's any. Excuse me. But really, if there's anything I love to sort of embody in this channel, you know, you probably know if you're, you know, familiar here with my, I don't know, my shenanigans, is I really think it's important just to be your fullest embodiment of yourself, your authentic self. And yeah, if there's anything you can take away, among various things, if you desire to, from whatever I'm doing here on my YouTube channel, it's it's beautiful to just let yourself be your most expressive self. Like whether you dress a certain way, or you want to dress a certain way, or, you know, play music, or rock a content creator, I don't know, portal. It's like, I hope people can, and I know, I have a feeling they do, you know, you can take away a seed of inspiration to just be your authentic self. Because that's all I really try and desire to do. It's all I've really desired to be for so many years. You know, it's like, for many years I've always craved that in other people, in the world at large. It was like, you know, I think I've shared this very openly. As many years I actually struggled very deeply. I felt very alienated. I was like, man, where is the authenticity? Where are the kindred spirits? Where is the raw authenticity in this world? You know, it's like, I felt like I was kind of an outlier in this world of people that, I don't know, just didn't really desire to just be their authentic self. It's changed profoundly as I've evolved as a person, but yeah. I think it's important, very simply. It's important to surround yourself with people that are on a similar path, that desire to be their authentic expression of self. And, you know, acknowledging that we all deserve to seek that and find that. Wherever that is, however that looks like. It doesn't have to be a single thing that, you know, I do or anyone does. Mr. Anderson. So I'm assuming that's always when you're saying Mr. Anderson, you're saying I'm looking like Neo. I think. Guy looks for some reason like Keanu Reeves, which I don't see it, bro. But maybe. I think what we're going to do is, as we hit the 2-hour mark, we're going to give ourselves a short break, because it looks like everyone's kind of transitioned. Maybe it's because it's the time of day. I think, yeah, we're at 2:30. It's like an interesting hour. I think this is actually an ideal opportunity. I'm going to make a bunch of food, because I'm pretty hungry, and do some breath work. And then what I think we'll do is we'll head down the hill, go to the park when it's like 3 o'clock or something, or 3:30, and start to just do some performance, do some busking. I'm feeling very, very inspired. But I think it's apt time. In the next hour, I'll just head down to there, go live, and see what's going on in the park. I have a feeling there's going to be some beautiful human beings down that way. And I just want to chill in the park and play some guitar. So I think that's going to be interesting. And I'm very much looking forward to that. This has been kind of a random, as per usual, just free-form, musical kind of check-in. Do my cold plunge. I don't know. It's very free-form, but, you know, I think there's, strangely enough, like I've expressed this before in the past. Yo. Melting. Nice. Melting, yes. Melting into consciousness, brother. I think in a conclusive note, I think it's kind of strange. Like you may not fully comprehend the depths of this, but I mean maybe you will. I think it's important to show up in the many facets of how we show up, you know, as a human. Basically, I mean, if you're having the worst day of your life or the best day of your life, or, you know, maybe you're sleep deprived or whatever, I think it's very valuable to humanize your experience. You know, basically just be like, give yourself permission. And this doesn't just go about, I'm not just talking about being a streamer or popping on a YouTube stream or whatever, but, you know, this is an element that is relevant to my livelihood, my mission, my purpose, you know, the portal I'm making. But I think it's more important in the real world. It's important to give yourself permission to be received by the universe, no matter how worthy you may or may not feel of being received by the universe. So, you know, whether you're feeling like stressed, or maybe you're feeling like a lack of self-worth, which we all struggle with, I feel, it's important to still push yourself to, you know, put yourself out there, to experience community, to experience the real world, and let yourself be received by the universe. So, I don't know, that's just a random message that's flowing through. That, you know, for me, it's like, you know, some days where I'm like, you know what, maybe I'm a bit sleep deprived, or maybe I'm feeling like, you know, part of me isn't fully present for whatever reason. I think it's valid to just recognize that, you know, it's good to just humanize and just be transparent with how you're showing up, and let yourself still be received no matter what. I don't know, I'm feeling like I'm in a very happy, regulated state. Life's been beautiful. But of course, you know, when I have moments where weeks that I have really difficult days, or multitudes of days, or successions of days, I think it's just even more important to show up, you know, go to the gym, be around community, receive support, do the thing. If it's play guitar or do your thing, grow your business, it's so beautiful to just see how you can break open that belief system that might feel like you're unworthy of being received, showing up exactly as you are, in your imperfect self, no matter how that is. Anyways, oi, welcome, dinosaur. We can all take a page, I think, from Dinosaur. You know, reflecting on our younger self that was always, you know, that just nothing, there was no human experience or existence. There was just, you know, a fascination with the prehistoric era and plastic dinosaurs. That was, those were good times. Good times. Shout out to... Anyways, with that, for real, bro, though, I know, I remember those days fondly, dog. I actually do. Yeah, prehistoric times, man. Anyways, with that, we're gonna pop out, probably make a massive meal, and then head swiftly down the hill to the park, and then just do some guitar shenanigans in the park. Yeah, I think that's the move. With that, thank you for being here. Thank you for the support consistently. It means a lot. Really blessed, I feel really blessed to have the YouTube algorithm, you know, build this momentum. I'm really happy to see the recent content that I've been making relating to teaching guitar and original music, etc., build traction. I'm really feeling ambitious and eager to release higher quality content that can just go nuclear in the YouTube sphere. So, calling in that, feeling really blessed to be received. I was just... But yeah, with that, remember to honor yourself and to honor each other. You know, much love. Ashe. Ashe.